Had more to the story that's coming out now with the Benioff and Weiss stuff.
We're still in Star Wars.
Give a shout out to our friend Justin Kroll for this great article.
There's
at Variety.
two of them. There's Variety and THR.
And THR. Right. So there's a lot. I mean, to kind of paraphrase here, there was some hesitation from Benioff and Weiss too when it came to like, oh man, do we really want to go down this like the toxic fandom kind of thing?
Right.
There's also some differences in the timing that we're hearing. We heard a source from Vanity Fair or somewhere we were talking about yesterday. It was back in May. This is more closer to like August that these are they're all saying where they got the Star Wars gig, then they get the Netflix gig. Then Kathleen Kennedy is a little bit nervous because they can't really do both. Netflix is like, okay, let's do that. Then finally,
and they're competing with Netflix.
Right. Finally, they decide that we're going to go our separate ways. They've already, Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm has been taking other meetings with writers and looking at pitches. But this article is really about how, and the origin of the Jedi. That's what they were working on. They were working on way back then when the first Jedi, maybe the origins of the Force. But this was kind of like an article about we've had now how many directors leave these projects?
It's got to be 4 or 5. I mean,
now you compare it to how many directors.
And we were talking about the other day, we forgot about Josh Trank, another one that left.
Josh Trank, Colin Trevorrow.
Gareth Edwards had problems.
Lord and Miller.
Yep.
John Cena.
Trevorrow.
There's as many directors have made a film in the Star Wars franchise have also left a project.
And this is only in 4 or 5 years. That's a lot.
But how often do you guys think it happens with just other movies?
Not not a franchise like this connected within 4 or 5 years.
You think this is the franchise that it's happened to the most in recent years?
Yes,
in recent years,
franchise-wise, 100%. Now there are certainly movies inside of the studio system that it happens often because things fall apart, development. But this is a franchise that. Because a lot of those times the movies just can't get greenlit for some reason. These Star Wars movies are always going to get greenlit and they're always going to get put into production. The problem is what the hell is happening behind the scenes. And this report by Justin Kroll is that it looks like a lot of these directors are coming in and they're met with not going into they're sold on being able to do their own vision and things that they want to do, and then they're met with this resistance by Kathleen Kennedy that it seems to be an ongoing problem. That's what this report says, and that it just happened once again. And I don't know, man. This is kind of what we thought. The other thing was that I think THR was leaning heavily on more so on the Netflix deals was the reason why.
Right.
I think it's a kind of a mixture of all of this, and it's just. And the other thing that they mentioned inside of Kroll's thing is what they were actually working on, and that it was indeed what we had been speculating all along. It was the formation of the Jedi.
Yeah.
That is very intriguing to me. I still, like you said, Roxy asked yesterday, if they, am I bummed that they're gone? And my answer is, if the movie of the formation of the Jedi is now gone, the same way that Josh Trank's Boba Fett movie is gone, then I'll be upset that they're gone because I want to see that movie.
That movie has to be made. It will get made.
I would hope.
If it's not Benioff and Weiss, it'll be somebody.
Someone else, yeah.
I 100% agree.
That doesn't work that way with Star Wars again, because Boba Fett was supposed to happen, didn't because Trank left, project dead, because he pitched that project. They pitched this project, so it could be pushed off. They could bring something else up because I don't think she understands the Old Republic stuff. I don't think it's just something that she doesn't really care about that much and doesn't think fans will respond to.
Yeah.
And I think she's wrong.
And moreover, I think that if she takes this line of like Trank and Boba Fett, we did have Mangold doing a little bit of Boba Fett as well. Are you into this?
No, I just keep looking at you like you're Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
You got the hat, you got the red shirt. Sorry,
let's do it. But I worry now that she will actually say, no, I don't want to go down what Benioff and Weiss was doing, and we will lose that.
That's what I'm worried about.
And I think that is a travesty if that happens because of how many people want this.
It's because of what you'll be able to, and it's not just the fact that you get to see the formation of the Jedi. It's not just that. It's the time period itself where it takes place. You have such an opportunity to build new lore, whether it's Sith or Jedi, but the difference is you don't have this kind of pressure that you do in these other movies of, well, how's it related to Luke? How's it related to Leia? It's all brand new characters that can be established and that you're not
having to connect a universe.
Correct. And then there's the fans aren't going, well, that's not the way it would go. You won't know because if it's 1,000 years beforehand in this formation.
But do you guys think, and I didn't listen to the show yesterday, so maybe you talked about it, but do you think that it's basically Kathleen and the directors not seeing eye to eye on the end product because? Or do you think it's because she thinks she wants to keep things safe? Because Last Jedi wasn't safe at all,
No.
right? Last Jedi
She
was
did
very
let him
different.
be creative. That's the one
Right,
person
so
that she
that's-
did.
And
So,
they
so,
mentioned
so,
that.
so
They
that's what
mentioned
I'm
that.
curious about. I'm curious is because of that experience and seeing how
So
they
she's more
divided.
tied to the vest now.
Right, like
Maybe.
you never know, right?
Maybe.
Like that could it may not be the fact that she doesn't understand Star Wars. It just may be the fact that it's like she's a business person and she's thinking about what's going to make the audiences more happy.
I think it's a mixture of both.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I
it does
believed.
make sense, but I agree. I think that is part of it, but I also think that it's not that, and I'm not saying it's not that she doesn't understand Star Wars.
Right.
I am not saying that at all. She does understand Star Wars because she's made the movies. I think the deep inside fandom stuff, the inside baseball stuff, is not something that she wants to do. That I don't think if you asked her about lore and those type, and she doesn't have to. But if you ask her about certain things about lore and Mandalorians, it's going to go right. She's not a deep Star Wars nerd, and again, she doesn't have to be. But I also think you should be able to connect.
She should hire somebody that is.
Correct. She should be able to, like a great manager or coach. She should be able to connect.
Correct. I
and
was just going to
yeah.
say, like, Bill Belichick hires the best assistants in football, and they continually get head coaching jobs and then kind of sort of fail and then come back to Bill Belichick because they know under the right leadership, they can create the best team. So if Kathleen Kennedy is the right leader, she needs to hire the people
Right.
around him that are, and she's like, listen, I trust you guys. I'm going to, if I don't like something and I know something, then
Right.
I'm going to say something or budget or whatever. But if you guys know Star Wars,
That's right.
you
I don't
effing
But
know.
she
I don't
has
get
done
this.
That, but she has done that though with the Dave Filoni's and John Favreau's of the world. Though.
So-
like
Put 'em
I,
together.
Like,
That's not a
I think
saga movie.
but I think Mandalorian's going to be really good.
That's the
before that
TV
We all
though,
do.
and we from
A lot less at risk with a TV
That's
series
true.
than a movie.
and not
Even if it's
necessarily
Disney
with
but
Plus,
not,
Disney
but
Plus.
not with,
Launching
but
Disney
not with the
Plus.
first big Star Wars series.
Yes,
that we're going to get ever.
It
I
still
think that's
falls.
a big deal.
It still falls on her. But the other thing is that she's not as involved with the TV stuff as she is with the film. Now I know she oversees Lucasfilm and everything
Right.
too, and so she's involved in everything. But the majority of the effort is going into those films, and that's where it brings in the money, right? But what Josh is saying, and I agree, it's like if I know. Like, I don't know what. Like, let's say I'm Kathleen Kennedy. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's all Republic stuff. But I know you do.
I can
and I know
associate
you
with
do.
Kathleen Kennedy.
So I'll tell you what.
So if in this room right now, I'm Kathleen Kennedy,
right.
I'm going to give you guys everything, and I'm just going to
Just
take
go.
a paycheck.
But I'll tell you what. So I'm trusting in you guys that you think the audience can make this work. It's on me to think. I trust in you as a creative. I trust in you as creative. You guys think this whole Republic thing can work?
Yes.
All right, then let's make it work. Tell me what you got. Okay, let's go. Now, it's also, she can be a stern badass at this point and say, but if it doesn't work and this one fucking bombs, it's all our asses here.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's take the shot. As opposed to being, that's why I think that the new trilogy has such a problem. It's like, because it was, JJ, do your movie. Ryan, you'll do your movie. And then Colin, you'll do yours. Oh, you don't like the way we're going? Oh, fuck you, you're gone. JJ, come back.
Right.
And none of these fuckers hooked up. And I don't
you-
give a shit what people like. See, JJ and Ryan are on the same page.
Imagine,
But you
imagine
think it's
have.
but you think it's a problem personally, right? Like we talked about the other day. Like we're the original trilogy fans, right?
Yes.
Like that's our Star Wars, right?
Yep.
But you could say the same thing about the prequels, that we don't really like them as much, and that was one director, and that was the creator of Star Wars,
Sure.
right? So we can criticize the new trilogies as much as we want, but there are people out there that really love them, and in fact, people
Yep.
say that The Last Jedi is to them is their favorite Star Wars
Yeah,
movie,
it's
which I
fine.
find
Totally.
shocking, but. Some people really, really enjoy these movies as much as we are not huge
We
fans.
talked about this the other day. I am a big fan of The Force Awakens, by the way. And we talked about this the other day. It's not a matter of the enjoyment of the film, because majority of the casual fan, I think, does like Last Jedi, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not my point. My point is that there's no direction in leadership here of saying where's point A and how do we get to the end here. That's never been there. It's like let's get lucky. First movie made a lot of money. Second one made a lot of money. Third one make a lot of money, but there's no connectivity, and the tissue it's just not there.
Let me
you-
use
you
a
could-
comparison that isn't sports because it may help our audience, right? Is like, imagine you go into a restaurant and your head chef is like, hey, I trust all of you guys to make the meal. This is the biggest meal this restaurant has ever served. And the first chef makes a burrito and the second chef makes sushi. You're like, that doesn't go together.
Right.
We can't.
I would have a burrito.
But there's still, but with her,
Sushi burritos are great, by the
but
way.
with that case though, the audience is still buying it.
Right.
They're still buying
Totally.
it. So it's just, even
They're
though
still gonna taste it.
even though the audience is coming in going, this is weird. I don't know if I like this. I don't like that dish.
My
Yeah, but I
stomach
love
hurts.
it.
Maybe I shouldn't eat that sushi
But it made a lot.
burrito
But it
together.
made. But the restaurant's making a lot of money.
Correct.
Except
Right.
that one dish they put out in May, and that
Yeah,
didn't go.
that was
well.
the palate
It was
cleanser. It was
tasty.
supposed to be,
It was
but-
tasty. Just it was
Yeah.
wrong
It was
time
just
to come out.
sorbet.
Anyway, yeah, right.
It literally.
Right. Either way, I think we talked about this yesterday. I think that because of all this, I think that she's gonna, after Rise of Skywalker, about a year afterwards, she goes and produces stuff, goes and does her own thing.
So as a casual fan, which I clearly am, something like the Old Republic, because when you guys pitch it to me, or something like the creation of the Jedi,
and then I show you that video of the Sith and everything fighting.
That really, really excites me.
You're talking about the Old Republic
video
game. Yeah, I showed him some scenes.
Which is why I really like the idea. I really like the idea of the Naomi Watts White Walkers and the idea of House of the Dragons. I'll take either one, but as long as it's a prequel and a formation of something I've heard before,
the world,
yeah, I'm going to see it. I want to see it. Listen, am I the most excited about The Mandalorian? No, because I really don't know much about it. But you know what I'm going to know about it? After the 10 episodes.
Right. Well,
and I'm going to give it a chance because, listen, it's in the Star Wars world. You've already given me the world. Now you're going to...
I wonder if you're going to be obsessed with it or something, because hopefully it's like a really well-developed storyline because it's a TV show. And since you're a huge TV guy, I wonder if you're just... This is going to be like what gets you into Star Wars
and that was the point that I was trying to make on
and
that's the point I was trying to make on Jedi Council forever. You are the reason why that Mandalorian TV could change Star Wars altogether because of that. The way that television in general has changed over the year, and the way that it's better way to tell a story overall, to get more hooked and invested in a story is these serialized television shows.
Which is why you're getting all these big actors participating.
Now, there's two possibilities here. The first possibility is that Josh could watch the first two episodes of Mandalorian and say, this is too inside... What's that?
I said I like that on the litmus test.
But let's say it's like you watch the first two episodes and you go, is this way too Star Wars? Everything's over my head. I'm done.
Correct.
Or, holy shit, I'm starting to become more of a fan now because I get it.
Right.
And now you become a massive Star Wars fan because of that. It's possible.
I mean,
that helps the movies.
Yes.
Too.
What it could be like is like Jack Ryan on Amazon, right? Obviously, everybody knows Patriot Games, great movie. Clear and Present Danger, I think, is the
Harrison
better movie.
Ford is
but
super hot,
he's the greatest. He's the best Jack Ryan we've had, hands down, whatever. And then they made a bunch of those other Jack Ryan movies that seemed like one-offs and they weren't that good, right? Then they come with this series, and John Krasinski is the best Jack Ryan since Harrison Ford because we have more time with
Season
Jack
2?
Ryan.
There it is.
Season 2 drops tonight at midnight, so it's going to be tomorrow.
Okay.
Season 1 was fantastic. Season 2, they're going into cartel land, I think in Colombia, Mexico kind of thing. First one, it was all Middle East, right? And so that show is great because you have more of Jack Ryan. Same thing that I think with Mandalorian is like, are you going to give me more like drawn out Star Wars so that I understand more instead of jamming the saga down my throat? Where I'm like, who's this? Who's Snoke? Do I know who Snoke is? Why do people like
questions?
Kylo Ren? Who's the red guys? Why are the red guys there?
Does that turn you off from the franchise as a casual fan to see Twitter just yelling? It's like, you don't know the correct, like, why is Snoke is
that's like Game of Thrones too. It's like that.
Totally.
I imagine so.
As a casual fan of things, casual fan of Game of Thrones.
Jump back to a point you just made because where you said, like not with the movies, right? There's so many questions, and the other problem is that, like, say, like from like 8 to 9, that's 2 years that you have to wait, and that's how much. Then that's even short because sometimes it's 3 years. But it's 2 years that you have to wait to get all these questions, and that's 2.5 hour movies that you get, as opposed to every week for an hour for 8 weeks. Or 6 weeks in this case, I guess, because they're doing two up.
Right.
So and then you get all those questions asked, and then the second season will probably come out a year later or a year and a half later.
Right.
So there's just so much more story.
It's the same thing for me. Okay, like Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, right? It was one storyline about Anakin Skywalker, and I could follow it. Now, there was a lot of things like government and whatever, I don't really care, and they're all the sand stuff and yada, yada, yada. But again, I didn't know that people didn't like the prequels until I started working here. Yeah. And so I loved that storyline because there wasn't a ton of like inside Star Wars info that I needed to know. I feel like Force Awakens was very similar to New Hope, and it was fine. And Last Jedi, I feel like there was a lot of things jammed down my throat that I didn't know anything about. And I feel like there was so much Star Wars lore in that they made it so complicated that for the casual fan, my brother and I included, were just kind of like,
Interesting, because I felt the opposite way for that movie because Sadie, my wife, who is not a big Star Wars fan at all, loves The Force Awakens and loved The Last Jedi. Yeah. She got it. She also likes Rey's story and everything too. But anyway, so there's just so much. I would encourage everybody to read both those articles on both the Hollywood Reporter and Variety because there's some good talking points because it is very similar to a sports team. It's when it's just how it goes with the job. you win your championships or you don't, and eventually you either stay or you go.
Right.
I think,
But like
last night-
sports, we need to wait to see the season end, right, and see how things
Correct.
play out.
Correct. And that's why
we haven't seen
Rise
it
of
tonight.
Skywalker.
Yeah,
all
we have
conjecture,
seen.
but it's fun to talk about.
Yeah, but I think
Like sports.
Rise of
For sure.
Skywalker is going to be her swan song. It's going to be the one she's
Right.
going to because that's a smart way to walk off. Because the other thing, think about her as a businesswoman, where you want to go to make your next opportunity. Is like, well, what's the last thing you did? I just did. I'm walking off of Rise of Skywalker. It just made $1.5 billion.
Mm-hmm.
So and Last Jedi made whatever it was, $2 billion, and so did Force Awakens. I had one misstep when I was over there. The fans can bitch about everything they want. Look at the money that I put down, and my last movie was a hit. Give me my deal. And she's going to get it. As opposed to trying to take another shot with another movie, and it doesn't work, and this happens again. And then it's like, oh shit, you had all those, but you keep this keeps happening. Like, is it going to happen with this new deal also? And then what if she finally bombs a Star Wars movie, like really bombs one, like a Solo? So I think it's safer for her after Skywalker. Just go. You've got so many chances. You've got the wins.